Hey everyone, welcome back to our second part of our reading lesson today for Mousetropolis. Today what I wanted to go over before we went into the story again was cause and effect. So in this story we see a lot of cause and effect, but we also need to see where it is. So just to begin, let's talk about the cause. So, cause is the reason why something happened. The effect is the result or what happens afterwards. Um, Now, we don't really use any of the. Sometimes you don't use these signal words because, so, since, as, a, result, if, and then, therefore, due to. But we can observe in the pictures kind of what happens, right? Because something happens, something else happens because of that. So it's part of the story there. So one example here that we have of cause and effect is the cause is what? The girl is watering her plants, right? She planted them, she watered them, and the effect is that the flowers are going to grow. So, we're going to take a look at that. Now, another example would also be because it started raining, kind of like what happened now. We either get a rainbow because it started raining, there was some flooding because it started raining, the flowers got the flowers were more colorful and the grass is a little bit greener. And you can actually see that now. A couple days ago you saw that the grass was probably a little dry, a little yellow, but all it really needed was just some rain. And it's supposed to rain in the next couple of days, so I'm looking forward to that. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into our story. So in this story, we're gonna read it again, but I'm gonna pause and I'm gonna talk. We're gonna talk about kind of what's happening here. All right, so here we have our mouse, right? In the wee hours of the morning in downtown Mousetropolis, City Mouse was wide awake. Too much noise, right? So here we see an cause and effect. The cause is that there was too much noise coming from the neighbor. The effect is that in the wee hours, so what do you think wee hours means? Wee hours of the morning. That's right, it means really early on. Really early in the morning, City Mouse was wide awake. And we also talked about yesterday that he didn't look happy to be woken up by all this noise. So the cause is the music. The music is too loud. The effect is City Mouse is wide awake early in the morning. He needed a vacation. What luck! A letter came from Country Mouse. And here we see, it's actually June, and if you maybe look very closely, it's towards the end of June where he takes vacation, so it would actually be now if it were to take place. Quicker than a mouse can nibble through a wedge of cheddar, City Mouse was in the country. Now, before we get to the cause and effect, I want to talk about one of the sayings here. Quicker than a mouse can nibble through a wedge of cheddar. So, what is cheddar? Cheddar is a type of cheese. That's right. So, here, quicker than a mouse can nibble through a wedge of cheddar. What do you think nibble means? Nibble means to eat, right? So he said, faster than a mouse can get through a piece of cheese, City Mouse went over to visit his cousin, Country Mouse. Here, it looks like he's taking a break, right? So the cause is a letter came from Country Mouse. And what do you think the letter said? And why do you think he's here now? It probably said to come visit, or hi, how are you doing, or long time no see. And sitting down to his first country meal of rice, beans, and barley. Not for me, City Mouse said. So, what do you do for fun? So, did City Mouse like the meal? No, and he probably. Why do you think he didn't like it? He probably just wasn't used to it. He doesn't like it. Maybe he likes a different type of food. Just like you and I sometimes there's certain foods that I don't like. Like for example, I don't really like tomatoes or onions or things like that. It's just something that he just doesn't like. On the way, woo. This seems dangerous, City Mouse said. It is, said his country cousin. Keep walking. So here it's supposed to be scary, right? We have a woo and the dark trees and it's dark and it's night. So why do you think Country Mouse is not worried? And this is Country Mouse right here. Yeah, Country Mouse is probably just used to it. He's like, no, not big deal. Just walk. Just keep on walking. At the jamboree, City Mouse and Country Mouse danced and played music. Not bad, said City Mouse. So, the other day, yesterday we talked about this before. What are these? Right, they're bales of hay. So, where do you think they are? Here we see a little pitchfork too. That's right, they're in a barn. So, it was probably an empty barn, and they decided to dance the night away. But going home, City Mouse felt as if he was being watched. And he was. So it doesn't really explain who is watching him, right? But we can use the pictures to tell us who is watching him, right? So who is watching him? This owl, right? And do you remember from our story about the owl? What do owls like to eat? Yes, one of the things they like to eat and hunt are mice. So they love to eat mice for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Well, actually, just dinner and breakfast, I guess, and whatever you would call a midnight lunch. Later that night, it was too hot and too quiet. Okay, so here we see a cause and effect, although the story doesn't tell us. So in the night, it was too hot and too quiet. Because it was too hot and too quiet, what happened? Look at their faces. That's right, they couldn't sleep. So here the cause would be it was too hot and it was too quiet. The effect is that the mice just cannot sleep. City Mouse and Country Mouse had the same idea. And as we remember, the cousins hurry towards the train and swoosh, chugga, 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 chugga. And because it was too hot and quiet, City Mouse was probably bored after the jamboree. They took the train, and that train went to the big city. The train pulled in. Home, said City Mouse. So as we can see, it's a big difference from where Country Mouse lives, right? Here we have a lot of green, trees, not a lot of houses. And here is just filled to the brim as far as the eye can see with buildings of all kinds, apartment buildings mostly. So you can tell that this is a big city, right? Because in a building you can fit a lot of people, and in a house you can just fit one or two families in there. At the station, there was music and dancing everywhere. As you can see, this was different than in the country, because in the country they just had the music at the jamboree. Busy mice did important things, and there was lots to eat. So here they have candy and cheese, not just barley and nuts and things like that. Actually, let's take a look at the meal. I don't 100% remember. That's why it's good to look back. Rice, beans, and barley. But no cheese, right? And the author makes a point to say that, mention cheese as well. But here we have a cause and effect. The cause is the big old cat. The effect, meow, meow, squeak, 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 is that all of the mice run away because they see the mouse. Because they see the cat. Quicker than a mouse can nibble through a wheel of provolone, Country Mouse was back in the country. So here we go again. Quicker than a mouse can nibble through a wheel of provolone. What do you think that means? Yes, it means fast. So we don't even see Country Mouse get into any sort of train. We just kind of see him, boop, plopped onto the country again. Home, said Country Mouse. Home, said City Mouse. So before we end our story, we see another cause and effect, right? Another bigger cause and effect. Because the cat came by, scared Country Mouse decided to go back home. Home, said City Mouse. We see City Mouse, even with all the noise, all the people, all the cars, all the buildings. It's home, right? So, as I mentioned before, this is a folk tale. This is a story with a lesson, a fairy tale. So almost all fairy tales have some sort of lesson. So here we see that the two mice, right, come from different worlds. One likes to be in the country, and one likes to be in the city. So even though they're from the same family, they are used to different things. They like being in different places, and that's how some people are. You might look similar, you might feel similar, but in the end, you're different. You might be two different people with liking different things. Alright, everyone, so that is it for our book. Make sure to go ahead and read it in Epic as well, and make sure you click Finish Book, and that'll count towards your reading time, so I can see how many minutes you've been reading. So I'll be checking that as well. Again, it's not required, but this Epic is free until June 30th at least, and then after that, I will let you know how to get to Epic. Alright, everyone, I hope you liked our story for today, and I will see you for our next reading.